So I finally got around to build the actual Mammoth Tank from Command & Conquer that I designed quite a few months earlier on in Lego Digital Designer, and I have sort of improved the design of the actual tank compared to the version that I had in there. This one is already finished and built, and I'm actually quite happy with it. I have deliberately built it to be quite sturdy, and it lends itself greatly to playing, so my son is all over it already, and I'm building several other copies of this tank for him. So I told him that I'm gonna during the next couple of months or so build probably several additional other units from the Command & Conquer universe that he can play with, and I'm gonna keep at least one copy of each of these tanks or units for myself as well. But going back to this, so this one is one of my all-time favorite tank designs, although it's only fictional. This is the iconic Mammoth Tank from the Command & Conquer series. It debuted in the very first game with Command & Conquer. So over to this build. As you can see, this is all made out of Lego parts, and I think one of the good things about it is that it's very solid build, so you can easily pick it up. It's not gonna fall apart. As you can see, if you are familiar with Command & Conquer, then you will know, what this tank is all about. This tank is kind of like the primary unit of the GDI from land units perspective, which you can access from later on in later missions, or when you have higher tech capabilities. It's a very massive tank with a lot of armor attached to it, and the iconic thing about it is, in terms of its size, is that it does feature two large caliber main guns, essentially similar to what you would have on earlier warships. So I don't know how practical this would be in real life for applying to an actual tank, but in video game sense, it does look really good. And I mean, this is always my favorite unit in the game. I always try to assemble at least 10 or 15 Mammoth tanks into a single group and then just let loose on the enemy. So this one is still up to this day my favorite tank design. Even though it's fictional, it reminds me a lot from the German plans around the Mammoth Tank that they had, the super heavy tank. Although actually, just I've been thinking about it lately during the past couple of days, how much sense it would make to have this type of tank in real life. And apart from the twin main guns, which may or may not work in real life, I think it's still a very interesting and solid design. Obviously, one of the main features is that instead of having single combined tracks on each side, the running gear is split in two on each side, and which gives it a bit more mobility from the perspective in case of one of these tracks gets blown. It can still move with the other side, and it looks good. So, and the way that this tank was built, so this is kind of like built from gamers or players perspective. I think it looks pretty good on display as well, but it's a very solid build, and everything is functioning on it, so to speak. Although I have a very slippery surface right now here on the floor, the tracks roll perfectly and very easily, so it's a smooth ride. And currently the way I built it is that in terms of the turret, you have two hatches that you can use for minifigures. Oh, I just broke off one. That's the difficulty of recording and doing it, with the other hand. So you got two autofocus, two hatches on top, and there goes the antenna. Okay. So yeah, these are the more fragile parts of the build, but usually you're not supposed to fiddle around with the antenna. So here you can fit two minifigs inside. Let me just do that quickly. I got these two, so these are at least in military camo. As you can see, they have the German insignia on them. I got them of not Lego. I'm not sure what the build is, but it's from a Leopard 2F5 build that I have. I think I got it out from AliExpress or somewhere from the Chinese market. It's actually not a bad build for a Lego Leopard tank, but I just took out the figures from that tank and I'm gonna use it in this tank instead, in the proper GDI forces. So, well, basically what you have here is obviously you have a very big turret with lots of thick armor and the side of it, and as you can see, I just used single elements to build and do the shape of the turret. Obviously, you could do a bit more articulation in terms of how the turret should look like versus the real version, but having it done with fewer parts makes this whole thing very stable. So once you pick it up or start rotating it or whatever, it doesn't really fall apart, and it's very stable actually. And you don't need to worry about breaking stuff up. Obviously, antennas are hard parts because just pick it up, so it's only just connected by one stud. I can actually do better fixing of these, but you are not supposed to touch the antennas anyway. So you got the turret with the two cannons essentially. So these are supposed to be operating simultaneously and elevating simultaneously. The way I did it is I have a connector here in the middle section, which takes care of the actual movement. So the turret can be depressed or elevated to a certain degree. And then here on the sides you have these two iconic missile launchers. I believe in the game these were called like Mammoth Tank. So essentially, one of the things that I really love this tank in the game is that these rockets here on the side served as anti-aircraft measures, and they could also be used against infantry units, which meant that you didn't really need it to put any additional escort to these tanks in the game. And from gameplay perspective, from build perspective, these look really good. Let me show you a rear view from the side. So this is the back end. Didn't rebuild in any engine. That's something that I might do in a second iteration or version of this. By engine I mean that I'm just having some sort of it that you can flip up and just have a look at the engine. And as you can see, on each side you have additional armor overlapping the tracks and the road wheels, and then you have slightly armored mud flaps in the front and the rear of each track. So this baby has been sitting on my desk for the past couple of days, and I really just like, you know, looking at it, picking it up. As I said, I really loved it in the game, and I'm really glad to have something real that's you know, resembling that tank. Let me just show you the downside as well. Hopefully I'm not gonna break it or drop it. Just first fix the minifigures, because if I tilt it upside down, they are gonna fall out. So this is how it looks like from the side. As you can see, it's again very much reinforced, so this thing is not going to be falling apart that easily. My son is 6 years old, and he's been able to play with it without any issues or, you know, breaking it. The other thing I had in mind when building this tank was to not to go crazy with some of the parts, and in overall what you see here, this cost me around, I mean, I got the parts through Bricklink once I put together, you know, everything. I think it was around $90 in total, including shipping. The whole amount of parts that I needed, and obviously if you play around with the color, this can go cheaper or it can go more expensive if you want to apply any camo on this. So again, just wanted to show this tank since it's already built and out there. And I know that a couple of people have asked about, you know, whether they can have the instructions for this. So I have this in Lego Digital Designer. In case you want to build this on your own, just I mean, reach out to me and, you know, let me know.